For centuries, the giant stone statues of Easter Island stood in silence, guarding their secrets.
If the island was settled at least 3,000 years ago, do we know where from?
But now, new discoveries are finally unlocking the truth behind how they were built and moved, and why some wore massive red hats. Archaeologists excavated some Moai statues at Easter Island and found their bodies extend deep underground, covered by soil over centuries. The island was quiet. The wind howled over the hills, whispering through the empty eye sockets of giant stone faces buried in the ground. Some lay flat, their once proud heads half sunken into the earth. Others stood, watching over the land, their cold stone expressions hiding the truth of what had happened here. Easter Island, Rapa Nui, as the islanders call it, was once alive with people carving these massive statues called Moai. They worked in the quarries, shaping them from soft volcanic rock. These statues were more than art. They held power. They represented ancestors, watching over the people and protecting them. The islanders believed that once the statues' eyes were carved and filled with coral, they would awaken with mana, supernatural strength. But today, many Moai are toppled, broken, or buried up to their necks. What happened? Why were these great figures abandoned? Beneath the fallen statues, the land itself hides a painful history. Long ago, the island was covered in trees. The people used wood to roll the statues across the land, placing them on stone platforms. They built canoes to fish. They farmed, and they thrived. But they took too much. The trees disappeared. Without them, they could not make canoes. Without canoes, they could not fish. Hunger spread. War followed. They turned against each other, and the very statues they once worshipped were thrown to the ground. The great stone guardians had failed them. Buried beneath the fallen Moai, archaeologists found something shocking. Bodies. Not just broken statues, but human remains. The truth hidden under the earth told a story of struggle, starvation, and a society that collapsed under its own weight. Some believe the statues were moved with ropes and rocked side to side like they were walking. Others say they slid on logs, but in the end, how they were moved mattered less than why they were abandoned. The people who built them did not vanish. Their descendants still live, still create, and still remember. The mystery of the Moai is not just about stone faces staring into the horizon. It is about the rise and fall of a great civilization, one that left its ghosts buried in the ground, waiting for the world to uncover their story. Centuries old and shrouded in mystery, Easter Island's giant stone heads may hold secrets far beyond human history. Could extraterrestrials be the missing link? Easter Island, a lonely dot in the vast Pacific Ocean, is famous for its towering stone statues, the Moai. But behind these mysterious figures lies an even bigger mystery. Could aliens or prehistoric giants have played a role in their creation? Theories swirl around the island like the ocean waves that crash against its shores, blending legend, history, and science into one of the greatest mysteries of all time. Some believe the Moai were built with the help of extraterrestrials. Ancient astronaut theorists argue that early humans lacked the tools and intelligence to carve and transport these massive stone figures. They point to the strange, elongated skulls discovered on the island as possible proof of non-human influence. The Moai's exaggerated features, especially their large heads and deep-set eyes, have even been compared to depictions of aliens in modern culture. If early humans had help, could it have come from beings beyond our world? Another theory suggests that Easter Island was once home to a race of prehistoric giants. Early explorers, like the Dutch who arrived in 1722, wrote accounts of seeing enormous people, some reportedly 15 feet tall. These so-called long ears were said to be different from the short ears, acting as rulers and religious leaders. Legends claim that the long ears oversaw the construction of the Moai and mysteriously vanished from history. Did they exist, or were they just myths? However, science offers a different explanation. Archaeologists have uncovered evidence that the Rapa Nui people carved the moai using simple stone tools called toki. Many unfinished moai still lie in quarries, showing how they were shaped. The rock, a soft volcanic tuff, was easy to carve, even without metal tools. But the biggest question remains: how were these multi-ton statues moved across the island? Some suggest they were walked upright using ropes, while others wonder if ancient people had knowledge of a lost technology. Whether built by human hands, guided by prehistoric giants, or helped by visitors from the stars, the Moai of Easter Island continue to guard their secrets, keeping the world guessing about their true origins. Easter Island's Rongo Rongo script teases us with its strange symbols, but after centuries, its meaning remains an unsolved riddle. In the 1800s, European explorers arrived on Easter Island and found something strange. They already knew about the island's giant stone statues, the Moai, but this time they saw something different: wooden tablets covered in mysterious symbols. These symbols, called Rongorongo, looked like writing, but nobody could read them. A missionary named Eugene Erod was one of the first to describe the tablets in 1864. He wrote that the islanders had wooden boards and staffs filled with strange glyphs. But there was a problem. By the time the Europeans arrived, the people of Easter Island had already suffered from slave raids and diseases. Their population had dropped, and with it, their knowledge of Rongorongo seemed to be disappearing. Scientists have tried for over 150 years to understand Rongorongo, but it remains a mystery. Some experts believe it was not a full writing system, but a way to remember important things, like genealogy or religious chants. Others think it could be an actual script that has just not been cracked yet. One thing is certain: there are only about 24 Rongorongo tablets left, and none of them are on Easter Island. These tablets are now kept in museums and private collections around the world. Some were carved on pieces of driftwood, while others were made from local trees. A few unique objects also carry Rongorongo inscriptions, including a chieftain's staff and an ancient wooden ornament called a reyamiro. One fascinating thing about Rongorongo is how it was written. The symbols were carved in an alternating pattern called reverse boustrophodon. This means the first line starts from left to right, the second line goes right to left, and it continues like this down the tablet. Some experts believe this style suggests the script was meant to be read in a specific way, but no one knows exactly how. In recent years, new studies have given hope to understanding Rongorongo. Researchers used radiocarbon dating on 4 tablets stored in Rome. 3 were from the 1700s or 1800s, but one was much older, dating back to between 1493 and 1509. This was over 200 years before Europeans reached Easter Island. The discovery suggests that Rongorongo was created by the islanders themselves, without outside influence. Philologist Silvia Ferrara, who led the study, explained that borrowed writing systems usually look similar to the original. Rongorongo does not resemble European writing at all, meaning it was likely an independent invention. If this is true, it would be one of the few original writing systems in human history. But even with this discovery, Rongorongo remains undeciphered. Some researchers believe it was used only by the island's elite, which might explain why knowledge of it disappeared so quickly. Others point out that there are only about 15,000 symbols across all the tablets, making it hard to compare and analyze patterns. One of the biggest problems in understanding Rongorongo is the lack of context. There are no illustrations or translations to help researchers figure out what the symbols mean. Even the modern Rapa Nui language has changed so much over time that it may not match what was written on the tablets. In the late 1800s, 2 amateur researchers recorded local people trying to read the tablets. However, their accounts are questionable, and many experts believe they were either misleading or completely false. Despite these challenges, scientists are still searching for clues. The discovery of the 15th century tablet has raised new questions. It was made from wood that did not grow on Easter Island, which suggests it could have been a piece of driftwood. If so, where did it come from? And if the islanders were carving rongo-rongo on driftwood, could they have had contact with other cultures before Europeans arrived? Even though rongo-rongo has not been translated, it remains one of the greatest mysteries of Easter Island. The tablets tell a story of lost knowledge, a civilization that once had its own way of recording information, and a script that may never be fully understood. Scientists continue their work, hoping that one day the symbols of rongo-rongo will finally reveal their secrets. Beneath Easter Island's iconic statues lies a hidden world of underground caverns and tunnels, holding secrets yet to be uncovered. When explorers dug beneath the surface of Easter Island, they found something unexpected, an entire underground world of tunnels and caves. These were not just small holes in the ground. Some stretched for miles, twisting and turning beneath the island like hidden roads from the past. The Rapa Nui people, who built the famous Moai statues, had used these caves for many things: shelters, hiding places, and even secret tombs where the dead rested in silence. Scientists have only begun to map these underground passages. Even though the island itself is small, measuring just 165 square kilometers, more than 7 kilometers of caves have already been discovered. Some researchers believe there are still hundreds more waiting to be found. A Rapa Nui family, led by Lazzaro Paccarati, has been making a record of these caves for years. They have found more than 800, but they are sure the real number is over 1,000. The caves were formed by volcanoes long ago. When lava flowed across the land, some of it cooled on the outside while the inside stayed hot, creating hollow tubes. Over time, the island became full of these tunnels, making the ground like a giant piece of Swiss cheese. Rainwater seeps through the porous rock, disappearing underground instead of forming lakes or rivers on the surface. This explains why much of the island is dry and why its vegetation is so scarce. Some caves are large and open, with wide entrances where fishermen once took shelter. Others are deep and dark, their openings barely visible from the outside. In some, ancient Rapa Nui people built stone walls to protect themselves during wars. A few caves were so well hidden that enemies could walk right past without noticing. These underground hideouts kept many people safe during troubled times. Even today, many caves remain unexplored, and their secrets are still unknown. Stories of lost tunnels, hidden chambers, and ancient remains continue to fascinate those who visit the island. While the Moai statues above ground capture the world's attention, the real mysteries of Easter Island may lie buried deep below. The towering Moai of Easter Island stand in silent mystery, crowned with massive red pukao, hints of an ancient secret that are still debated today. A long time ago, explorers and scientists visited Easter Island, a mysterious place with giant stone statues called Moai. As they studied these statues, they noticed something unusual. Some of them had big, red stone hats on top. These hats, called pukao, were made from a special type of red volcanic rock. But the real mystery was how these massive hats ended up on the heads of the Moai. The red pukao were carved from a place called Punapau, a quarry inside a volcano. The rock was soft and easy to carve, but even after shaping them, moving them was a huge challenge. Each pukao weighed several tons, and the people of Easter Island had no machines, cranes, or modern tools to lift them. Yet, somehow, they managed to place these giant red hats perfectly on top of the statues. Nobody knows exactly why the islanders made the pukao. Some believe they were a sign of power, meant to honor the people the Moai represented. Others think the hats made some statues more special than others, marking them for important ceremonies. However, the most popular idea is that the pukao represents hair. In the past, important men on the island wore their hair tied in a bun on top of their heads. The pukao might have been a stone version of that tradition. The pukao were carefully designed. They had a dent underneath to fit snugly on the Moai's head. Some even had a little bump on top, making them look like a tied-up hairstyle. The red color of the stone made them stand out against the gray statues, adding a striking look to the already impressive Moai. But how did the islanders lift these massive hats? Some scientists believe they used ramps made of logs. The pukao, shaped like cylinders, could have been rolled up carefully. Others think a large team of people worked together, pulling the heavy stones up with ropes. Even today, no one is completely sure how they managed to do it. Over time, many of the statues fell, and the pukao tumbled to the ground. Some were left unfinished on the roads leading from Punapau, showing that the process was difficult and not every pukao made it to its final destination. Today, archaeologists have found around 100 pukao, either at the quarry or near fallen statues. The red pukao remains one of Easter Island's biggest mysteries. These stone hats tell a story of skill, tradition, and incredible effort. Even after hundreds of years, they continue to amaze people, leaving behind questions that may never be fully answered. Worn into the earth, the ancient Moai roads of Easter Island reveal the secret paths where giants once walked. The ancient roads of Easter Island hold many secrets about how the massive Moai statues were moved. Scattered across the island, these pathways stretch from the Rano Raraku quarry, where most Moai were carved, to the many platforms where they once stood tall. For years, people wondered how the islanders, without modern machines, managed to transport these enormous stone figures, some weighing over 70 tons. Archaeologists believe the roads played a key role. These paths were carefully built using crushed volcanic rock, creating a smooth and sturdy surface. Some roads stretch straight for long distances, while others curve gently, adapting to the island's rough terrain. Many fallen Moai statues lie along these roads as if abandoned during transport. This made researchers question whether the statues were dragged, rolled, or even walked upright. One theory suggests that the Moai were placed on wooden sleds and dragged using ropes. Another idea is that islanders rolled them on logs. But the most fascinating theory is that they were walked, like a refrigerator being tilted side to side. Some experts tested this by using ropes and a group of people. To their surprise, the Moai could be moved in a rocking motion, requiring fewer workers than dragging. The roads were not just for moving Moai, they also connected different parts of the island, linking quarries, villages, and sacred sites. Along these paths, archaeologists found the red pukao, the top knots placed on some Moai heads. These were made from red scoria at the Punapau quarry and transported separately, likely rolled along the roads. Modern technology, including ground-penetrating radar and electrical surveys, has helped researchers understand these ancient roads better. Some paths are now buried under layers of soil, but their importance remains clear. They reveal the incredible skill and dedication of the Rapa Nui people, who, despite their island's isolation, built a system capable of transporting some of the world's most mysterious monuments. The Rapa Nui people shaped the mighty Moai statues using special stone tools called toki. These tools, made from hard basalt, were perfect for carving the soft volcanic tuff found in the Rano Raraku quarry. The process began by carving the front and sides of the Moai first. Slowly, the back was chipped away until the statue was ready to be separated from the rock. Some unfinished Moai still lie in the quarry, frozen in time. Each completed Moai was made of 3 parts. The main body, usually yellowish in color, was the largest piece. Many Moai also had a red top knot, called pukao, made from red scoria. Some statues even had white inset eyes with coral irises, giving them a lifelike gaze. The Rapa Nui carved nearly 1,000 of these massive statues, with sizes ranging from 6 to 33 feet tall. Beyond the Moai, the island also holds other fascinating carvings. Near Orongo, on the cliffs overlooking the sea, strange rock carvings tell the story of the Birdman cult. These symbols, depicting a half-man, half-bird figure, are linked to a competition where warriors swam to a nearby islet to collect the first sooty tern egg of the season. The winner's chief became the Birdman, a powerful leader for the year. These carvings, found mostly in one area, show the deep connection between the Rapa Nui and Polynesian traditions. Similar designs can be seen in Tahiti and Hawaii, showing the shared culture of these distant islands. While some carvings are detailed, Others appear rough and simple. Using only stone chisels and hammers, the Rapa Nui shaped symbols into the volcanic rock. Some believe these carvings held spiritual meanings, while others think they marked special events. The Moai statues and rock carvings are proof of the Rapa Nui people's skill and creativity. With simple tools, they shaped some of the world's most mysterious monuments, leaving behind a legacy that still amazes the world today. Located within an ancient volcano, Easter Island's Crater Lake is a hidden oasis that once sustained a lost civilization. A massive crater lake sits on Easter Island, hidden within the extinct volcano Rano Kau. This lake is one of the island's only 3 natural sources of fresh water. Towering cliffs surround it, shielding it from the strong ocean winds. Because of this, the lake has its own special climate where plants grow differently from the rest of the island. But the most surprising discovery inside this crater was something unexpected: Totora reed. Totora reed is not native to Easter Island. It is a lightweight, waterproof plant used to make boats, roofs, and other important tools. The only other place where this plant naturally grows is on the coast of Peru, thousands of miles away. This raised a big question. How did Totora reed end up in the crater lake of Rano Kau? Some believe it was brought by ancient Peruvian travelers long before the Polynesians arrived. These travelers might have used Easter Island as a stop on their long journey across the Pacific. If they needed to repair their boats, planting Totora reed on the island would have been a smart decision. The idea of Easter Island as a meeting point for different cultures is not new. In 1722, when Dutch explorer Jacob Roggeveen arrived, he described seeing people with different skin tones and hair colors. Near the crater lake of Rano Kau is the ancient ceremonial village of Arongo. Here, the famous Birdman competition took place. Each year, warriors would swim to a small nearby island to collect the first egg of a special bird. The first man to return with an egg became the ruler of the island for 1 year. The structures in Arongo were built by stacking stones on top of each other without any mortar. This technique shows that the builders used simple methods with the materials available. Rano Kau is not just a historical site, but also a geological wonder. Its rocks are over 150,000 years old and formed by lava flows during the Pleistocene era. The volcano's walls rise 324 meters above the ocean, and the crater itself is nearly 1.5 kilometers across. In the early 1900s, people even saw steam rising from the crater, hinting at geothermal activity below. Today, Rano Kau and its crater lake are part of Rapa Nui National Park, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. A surprising discovery was made on Easter Island when researchers found a hidden moai lying in the dried lake bed of a volcano crater. This moai, a carved stone figure, had been buried under mud for hundreds of years, untouched and unknown. It was found on February 21st by a team of scientists from 3 Chilean universities working to restore the area's marshland. The moai was small compared to others, only 1.6 meters tall, and had recognizable features, but no clear definition. It was lying on its side, looking up at the sky as if waiting to be found. For at least 200 to 300 years, the lake was 3 meters deep, making it impossible for anyone to move the statue in that time. This raised many questions. How did it get there? Was it left behind unfinished? Or was it once standing before sinking into the mud? No one knows for sure. However, archaeologists believe that since one moai was found, there may be more hiding beneath the surface. Each moai represented an ancestor's spirit, giving protection and guidance. Terry Hunt, an archaeologist from the University of Arizona, said, "We think we know all the moai, but then a new one turns up." This discovery was exciting for the Rapa Nui people, because even their grandparents had no knowledge of this hidden statue. It was a lost piece of history, now revealed. With every excavation and new discovery, we piece together more of their incredible story. Yet the full truth may never be known. The moai stand as reminders of human ingenuity, resilience, and the passage of time. Perhaps that is the greatest mystery of all, how a lost civilization still speaks to us through its silent statues.